Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's
Woo! Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, people? My name's Timmy Joe, making videos about computers on the internet. And normally this would be a quick tech episode where I'd show off a product and, maybe promote a little bit. And, because I'm a shell a little bit about good products. I like to promote them. And if you're going to buy them, why not buy them through my Amazon affiliate link or something like that? But I'm going to show you the other side of the coin today. Because DIY PC Case, through a marketing company, got in touch with me and wanted to send me a case for review. And they were kind of weird about it, didn't really know which case or anything right away. And here we are about 3 months later. And I get the case, and it's this thing. And it's what? The DIY model X-W-RGB white steel. And at the price point, it's got, on paper, some cool features, RGB fans and tempered glass. You'd think that would be a good combo, right? But unfortunately, it's not a good case, and I don't know why they'd send this to me and expect me to give it a good review. Mostly on the merits of that the front panel is completely sealed off, less for a little gap right here, a millimeter, with some mesh behind it as well. And then if you can get the front panel off, which is extremely hard, you can see, there we go. God, it's like I break it every time. This little piece right here is the only other spot for air to come through. A 2 millimeter by 4 centimeter, couple inches, whatever, gap at the bottom. So there's spots for 2 fans, and obviously there was tooling for, in an older case or a different case, a CD-ROM. So you can't put a fan up there. But even if you could put fans there, and that fan wasn't there to begin with, it was up here at the top grill, you're going to have a hard time sucking cool air into this case or pushing cool air through this case because you literally seal it off by putting this thing in the front. I don't know. So I put a system in here, Core i7 6700. So, this is a CPU designed to go into, a Dell system that's this big that has one fan that blows through a grate that, it's not going to get very hot. So it stays around, 50 degrees at max. That's all right. But the problem is you get any sort of system in here that needs some airflow, like a Ryzen 2600, and all of a sudden it's getting pretty choked off. But the CPU is not the worst part. The worst part is definitely the GPU, because once you put the tomb on and you get the tempered glass there, where's the cool air coming in for the GPU? Really, all it can do is come through these grates in the power supply, and there is a grate on the bottom for the power supply and for some cool air to come through the bottom. And there's spots for fans here for some reason, so I guess you could put 2 fans there, but that's a weird configuration not a lot of people are going to go for. So I actually moved the fan from the top grate here over to here, hoping to reduce the GPU temperatures because this 780 Ti, which is a pretty hot card, was getting up to 90 degrees in this case with it sealed. And it took about 5 minutes worth of fire strike to max up to that temperature. And then so I was like, well, maybe I'll move that fan, and all I did was make it so instead of 5 minutes, it was 6 minutes before it reached that peak temperature. It will get there eventually because there's really not a lot of cool air coming into this case, unfortunately. I guess I could move the fan here and get that little bit of airflow from the bottom, but ultimately, it's got a button to change the RGB on the front. That's wonderful. It's just a pretty choked off case. And I don't know why they would send me or even make such a choked off case when you could make it look like this and just have, a grate here or something like that. Tool the plastic so it's got holes in it and a mesh behind it so that you get a little bit more airflow. But this is just a bad one, unfortunately. So if it was really, really cheap, maybe it would be all right. But it's retails for $69.99 apparently. I don't think you would buy it at that price really ever. You're probably going to buy it at 60 USD. That's what it is on Amazon, kind of all the time. But if you go over to Newegg, it's on sale for $54.98 from $69.98. So why is it that expensive? Well, it's got tempered glass and RGB. And it only comes with 2 fans. If you wanted to add a couple more fans, they do sell them, but they're 15 bucks each. Now you're into a case that comes with 3 fans that's pretty good, like the Matrix 55. You know, there is a Matrix 55 that has 3 decent deep cool fans that, you know, is priced around that much, you know, with actually 4 fans because it comes with the black one at the back usually. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend this. You could actually plug a couple more of those fans on the little daughter board that's in the back of it that controls the lights. And, you know, it plugs in with the Molex, and that the fans just go at a constant rate. They go pretty hard, actually. Like, they make a little bit of noise. That's probably a good thing because you need some sort of airflow through this thing. So what would I buy at this price point? Well, let's see. I don't know. I guess because of if you want that tempered glass and RGB, when I'm looking for a case on a budget build like this, what's on sale, I usually look for something that's like 50 bucks Canadian, which is 40 bucks American. You can find some pretty decent deals on, you know, like here's one, a Piva, there's, you know, there are DIYs, but this one I know chokes off the front because that glass is actually touching the fans. They kind of give no regard for that. They just like, we'll sell a bunch of fake fans in a case that are literally really not pushing any new fresh air. But, you know, I've bought the Corsair Carbide because this is a big mesh front. I've bought the Tesseract because it's got that big mesh front. But look, at Matrix is in there a couple times. I would definitely consider that. I'll show you that in a second. But for $39.99, you can get this Rate Max case that has a big mesh open front here. It has a fan in the back that is illuminated. I don't think it's RGB. I think it's just white. But it's got tempered glass as well. So there you're 15 bucks cheaper, and it checks most of those boxes and has better airflow because it's got an open-ended front. And maybe DIY, I've actually seen DIY sell a case like that has like one of those metal sides that has a acrylic see-through panel, and I've recommended it before. So they do make good cases, but like something like this would be much better for your airflow in a cheap case because you don't want to have to bake your hardware and then end up buying, you know, a new video card because you baked the thing, or, you know, a new CPU or something like that. You know, or you're going to end up spending more money on fans to try and fill this up to, you know, so if you're really budget conscious, just go with something from the get-go that's got a little bit better airflow and maybe just doesn't have RGB fans. But if I'm spending that $54.99, what I would do, Matrix 50, okay, that's from Deepcool. It doesn't come with any fans, but it's $39.99 and it has tempered glass on the front and on the side, and there's a big ring of mesh that actually gets a pretty decent airflow through the front panel, so it looks really good. Or if you want to spend $5 more, you can get the version that has an LED strip. So if you want that LED strip, because this thing's got some sort of printed circuit board look, you know, it's changing colors there, you can get that for an extra $5. But buy one of these cases and then go on Amazon and just buy, you know, $17.99 RGB fans right there, and you're at basically the price point of this case, and has a lot better airflow, and the Deepcool cases are made better. These are all just kind of generic cases, and they're flimsy, and they're not, you know, I'd expect that at this price point, but there is better options out there. So for $54.99 and no airflow, I find it really hard to recommend this, and I don't like to, you know, piss DIY PC off by making a video like this, or maybe, you know, make people think twice about sending me stuff. But at the same time, I'm not gonna give this a good review or build a budget system in it and recommend it when it's literally made the GPU hit its max temperature and start to throttle. When I had Firestrike running with the you know, the thing, and you might be able to get away with this case with some lower end hardware like a GTX 1060 3GB, you know, with a half decent dual fan on it, and, you know, not overclocking the processor. But for any of you out there looking to overclock, this is like basically a no-no on this thing. You're not going to want to overclock your graphics card or your CPU in a case like this. And at the budget end, you're usually buying some older hardware that might be kind of hot, or a Ryzen that's in the lower end and looking to bump up the clocks on it, or buying a graphics card that's a few generations old, and to get the performance you're buying, you know, a 780 Ti like that's in here, or 970, or, you know, something like that, where you're, you know, needing a little bit more airflow. So I don't know, that's the video, I guess. I just shit all over a case. But unfortunately, I built it, and when I was done building it and checked the temperatures and stuff, there's no way I can recommend it. It would be a bad time. It'd be a bad time. So I'm at Watch Timmy Joe Instagram and Twitter. I'll leave links in the description to some cases I recommend for airflow that are in this price range on Amazon. If you're looking for, to check it out, probably the Matrix 50 or 55 and some, cheap RGB fans or something like that. That's what I would recommend. But there's definitely better options. Look for grills on the front. And yes, this might look half decent and cool, but in the end, it's not going to be very cool, is it? I'll see you guys in another video at Watch Timmy Joe Instagram and Twitter. Have a good day.